Hi, everybody. Get ready for greatness today. I'm so excited to have the gentleman on with us today. He is one of the top photographers in the industry, two-time Gordon Park Scholar, Forbes 30 under 30, and Doritos Change Maker. And he's actually photographed some countless celebrities, influential people, and notable brands such as Beyonce, Ivy Park, Spike Lee, Latto for Rolling Stone magazine, and so much more. And to give you some words of his work, you're talking about amazing, uh, uh, phenomenal, stunning, iconic. Those are the words that come to my mind when I see his artwork, and he's completely changing the world. I mean, empowering people and showing people what Black excellence looks like. That is Mr. Eric Hart Jr. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for the introduction. Lord, I'm good.
Yes,
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
no problem. So let's get started. Tell people a little bit about yourself and then kind of where you are now.
So I am 22 years old. I grew up in Macon, Georgia, but I've been based in New York for the past 4 years. I started photography maybe 8 or 9 years ago. It was really just off of a whim, this fun activity that I would do, but it really stuck. Like it became this thing that I was very passionate about. So currently, I'm just trying to just build a legacy with photography. I feel like it's my calling, it's my purpose on this earth. So yeah, that's pretty much my mission at this moment.
Okay. Now, explain for people like myself who's outside of the photography world, what does the Gordon Park Scholar, like, what does that mean in I guess layman terms, and how important or critical does that set you apart from most photographers? Like, talk the importance of being that scholar.
Well, I feel like any black photographer just knows that Gordon Parks he's that one. He was the person who laid the groundwork and probably is the biggest black photographer we've seen on this earth. So to be even in alignment with anything with his name is really, really dope. But this specific organization, this foundation, is just extending his legacy and reaching out to students, particularly like me as a student. I received the Gordon Park Scholarship, and they, help you with tuition. They expose you to new ways of creating. It's just really a amazing foundation to extend Gordon Park's legacy. And a lot of Gordon Park's work was surrounding blackness, black experience, and it's just amazing to see this organization continue his work in the modern day.
Okay. And then also you were Forbes 30 under 30. I definitely want you to talk about that. I know you spoke about your vision board. But how did that come about? Like, what, talk about the work that you put in to become Forbes 30 under 30.
That was an amazing, amazing accomplishment for me. It has been I have vision boards all around. I'm like looking up at it, but I have vision boards in every room that I'm in. And one of the things that's always just been on my vision board is being a Forbes 30 under 30 select, because I feel like that is just one of those things that kind of solidifies you in this industry and just really lets you know that you're on the right path. So that's why it was a big deal for me. And I don't know, like it's kind of going into NYU, my freshman year was when it first came on my radar. Like, okay, I want to do this. I want this in my life. And 4 years down the line, it happens. And it's kind of like one of those things that's like, wow, this is really surreal. It's like, that means that you're actually doing the work that you've been put here to do. That means that people are actually taking notice of your work. It's somewhat validating and it's somewhat just uplifting to me as a creative to know, like, okay, I'm this little boy from Macon, Georgia who dreamt of this. And now these type of accomplishments are coming to me. It really just feels great.
So how do you determine which shoots you're going to do as paid and non-paid? Because sometimes I think some people knock themselves out the box because people look at an opportunity and say, you know what, if it's not paying me, I'm not doing, as opposed to looking at the long term, but then also the benefits and collaboration, how important that is too.
Definitely. I think you have to be very, very particular about what you take on and just be you have to play chess and not checkers. Like you have to be very conscious of what you want out of this industry and who you want to be in this industry and do things that align with that vision. So maybe there are some times when you are shooting things, like if you're a newcomer, you're an up and coming photographer, you definitely will have to shoot things that you don't get paid your worth for. Like that's just something that happens. But sometimes those jobs kind of elevate your portfolio, or they allow you to just enter a space that you weren't in prior just because it's like, oh, he shot for this editorial, or you've done this for this company. It's really just about playing the game and just really being conscious of what you want out of it. But it's also very important to not get played and don't allow anyone to just like, walk over you. Don't let this
Right.
industry use you. But just know that when you're starting and when you're building that portfolio, you do sometimes have to play the game.
Okay. I want you to talk about the importance of brand imaging. Like I'm probably you've seen pictures where people are making, a nice amount of money, but then they throw up these mall photos or these photos that are badly photoshopped. The importance of imaging. Like I think people, they don't focus on that enough. And people actually look at that media where you're going to the next level and how important that is. And people actually invest in the imagery as well.
I feel like now more than ever, imaging is just all around us. Like, I'm of course imaging has always existed, but I feel like now social media, advertising, just capitalism in general is just exploding to a place that we haven't even seen it before. But all of that correlates to photography and image making. So for me specifically, I think it's very important to use photography in this realm of just setting up your brand. Like if you are someone who is CEO or you are internet personality or someone like that, to really hone in on what your vision is and have the most polished image you can, just to show that you really do care about production value, that you really do care about substance, like I feel like to an extent, polished photography and photography that is very thought out and very well executed does kind of like allow a consumer to know that this is a brand or a person or whatever that I want to align myself with.
Okay. What's been the most challenging part of this journey that most people don't know, or even today that people that can't see?
The most challenging part. Um, I think honestly it's a mix for me. I feel like it's almost an internal battle for me, or that was the most challenging thing for me to get to a place where I understood that I was worthy of being in certain rooms or that I was worthy of these dreams. Because when you come from certain places, it is kind of like, oh, that's so far fetched, or like how can that happen? But just really having faith in yourself to believe, and to actually see these things come true. It does sometimes give you like imposter syndrome, like maybe I shouldn't have done that, or maybe I'm just lucky. But no, you're talented enough. You are worthy enough to be in these rooms. And I feel like on the opposite side of that, just knowing the business and just knowing your worth can also be a very, very big struggle and obstacle for newcomers. Because, like I said, you are going to have to do things that you probably don't get paid as well as you should, or you probably do end up in rooms where your voice is belittled a little bit. But knowing that you are worthy is just the main key. Like, as long as that's at the forefront of your mind, you'll make it.
Okay. So what's your favorite camera or lens to use?
So I shoot with the Canon Mark III, and I shoot with a 24 to 105 always, just because I feel like that's the most diverse lens. For the longest time, I shot with a 50 millimeter, and that's like, for anyone who knows photography, that's like very limiting. So I was actually happy to get my lens recently, so I can actually have a lot of versatility and movement. But yeah, I'm a fan of the Canon brand.
Okay. So what's your advice for people who want to get clients and start working with notable brands and celebrities? Like what steps did you take, and was this an on purpose step, and how did you go about that?
Definitely. I do think as a photographer, I always just wanted to work editorial, commercial, even fine art. But for me specifically, I was lucky to have some mentors who helped me get in connection with certain people. But sometimes it is like a matter of you sending cold emails and you sending your portfolio to art buyers, to creative agencies, to editors, and saying, "Hi, this is my name. This is the type of work I do. I think I align with your brand because X, Y, and Z." It's very tiring. It's very draining, but it's one of those things that if you continuously do it and you send as many emails as possible, someone has to say yes. So there have been a lot of times when I'm in that position of like, hey, this is some work I shot. I thought you all would like it. Just get me back if there's any positions, anything. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you continue that process.
Yeah, I commend you for that. I always tell people that, half of your business or success is following up with people. So I'm glad you put that out there and let people know, like, you actually got to put yourself out there. Nobody's going to contact you on social media and all these things in the very beginning. Like, you really got to,
absolutely,
and not be scared to hear no. I think people are afraid of that as well.
Honestly, it just feels like, I always think of it too, like, you're kind of already at a no. Like, you don't have the job, so it's like, you might as well. Like, what do you have to lose,
Yeah. Okay. So how were you able to negotiate these deals? You work with Beyonce, Ivy Park, Spike Lee, Latto, how did you do it?
So honestly, it's a matter of just learning as you go. Like, I feel like I've been shooting really young, and just really understanding the business comes with, thankfully I did go to NYU and they taught me a lot about business. But of course, there are mentorship.
Phenomenal school. I'm a scholar myself, so I'm phenomenal school. I
Yeah.
didn't make the cut, but that is amazing.
Yo, NYU is an amazing experience. Shout out to everyone at DPI. But they do teach you a lot about just negotiating and what you should look out for in contracts and things of that nature. But also like mentorships. Like, I was lucky enough to assist and be kind of like a mentee to a photographer by the name of Justin Bettman, who was an amazing photographer, done a lot of amazing work. But he would sit down with me and go over contracts or say like, no, this is not right, this is right. Also, I did a program with Apostrophe, which is a agency for photographers, and they also kind of give you that business. So it's been a lot of just reaching out to people who know. So if that's another piece of advice for anyone starting out, like, reach out to people who've done it. Most people will help you out.
So what's been your favorite moment so far?
I feel like my favorite moment, hands down, has been, I recently was told that a student applying at NYU wrote that they wanted to go there because Eric Hart Jr. went there. And to me, that's kind of like, wow. That's like, okay. Like, because I feel like, people be hyping, but like, I don't got a lot to prove. But to me, that was just like, okay, you have inspired one person. Like, that's really, for some reason, that just touches my heart. Like, I thought that's the peak. That's what I want to do in life. I want to inspire others. So yeah.
That's dope. I haven't heard that one before. I gotta put that on my vision board too. Take notes from you. So one of the things I admire about you, you're able to take, the negative stereotype that comes with being Black or African American, however you want to put it, and turning that into positive imaging. And of course, focusing on masculinity, queerness, unity. Can you speak about why that is your focus and not just like flowers or I don't know, like anything else?
Lord.
No shade, right? No shade, but I'm serious. Like, you're focused,
For me specifically, I think the thing that makes a photographer great is like the authenticity that shines within their vision. And for me, it's like, I can't not shoot these things because that's who I am. These are the things that I'm curious about. These are the things that I'm thinking about. These are the things that are unanswered in my mind. How does Blackness look within the society around us? How is the concept of Blackness and this identity that we have, how is this shifting? How does that correlate to queerness? All these questions. And I feel like photography is the medium for me to answer those questions or to even just explore those questions. So I feel like specifically, it's not even one of those things that comes as like a task or like a challenge. It's really just like me exploring. So I feel like a lot of my photography, the best work that I've created is that the work that's authentically driven by what I'm curious about, which is Blackness and queerness and masculinity.
Okay. So how can photographers over deliver? Like, one of my pet peeves is when photographers take forever to send me back my edited photos.
Look, it be hard. Sometimes don't go too hard on the photographer because editing takes a long time. People
I
need to understand
know.
when
But
you
if you tell a client, this date, and then they gotta come,
this
I
is
mean, professionalism. Like, can
yeah,
you
it's
speak
true.
about that?
I get it. I can't go too hard because I get it. I really do. Like in theory, these photos should be done in a week. But then you start editing and it's like you spend one day on one image because you got to retouch skin or you got to get the lights. And now you got to take every other image that you want to send to this person and make it match that same image that took you a night to do. It's like it's hard. It really is. But you can't be out here lying to people. So yes, you have to stick to that deadline. It's important to reach deadlines, to hit deadlines. It's just like it's good business. So yeah.
Okay. I won't go too hard, right? So you are also a Doritos Change Maker. I've never heard of that. So can you talk about that program and what does that mean for you and growing your brand?
Absolutely. So it's actually a fairly new initiative that Doritos has. It started in 2021, and Doritos basically has position themselves to amplify Black voices, Black creators, business owners, different things like that. And they actually this year also are donating money to these organizations of our choices. So it's just a really great experience to connect with other creatives, Black voices doing the work, but also give back to, like we mentioned, the Gordon Parks Foundation. That was the charity of my choice. But yeah, I feel like everyone at Doritos has been very, very kind and very just you can tell that their heart's really in helping and just amplifying Black voices. And that's what is the best part about being a Doritos change maker.
Okay. So how does Eric stay on task for his vision board? Like, I think it's good that we have these things we want to do. So how do you break them into manageable small tasks, weekly tasks? Like how do you get there?
It's difficult. Certain things are in my control and certain things are not. Like I'm looking at my little checklist for this year. It's just like certain things like I will read at least 50 books. I can do that. That's completely in my hand. So it's like, let me read a book a week. That's like something I can actually do. But I will photograph Beyonce. That is like one of those things that's just like God has to take that, you know? So it's like a mix. But honestly, I just do the best I can. I pray a lot. I just stay as mentally strong as I can to really just manifest and bring my goals to me, you know, and just be humble in the wait. Like I feel like all the things that are for me and they will come to me if they are meant to be. So I don't put too much pressure on. I just kind of write what I really want to happen within this world and just let it manifest.
So how did your family feel about you want to be in this industry? Did they push you to be like a lawyer or a doctor or anything, or were they just on board from the beginning and believed in you and in your friends?
Child, they on board now. They get it.
Okay, okay.
But like, yeah, it was a lot of. I will say I have an aunt who's very, very just showing up present and just was always very supportive of the vision, but always challenging me to ask me like, why do you need to do this? You need to know exactly why you're doing what you're doing. If it's what you want to do, it's what you want to do, but you need to know why you're doing it. And I feel like that's why I'm very intentional with a lot of things. But yeah, my family, grandma, dad, they were like to an extent like, why you got to go to New York to do that? Why do what like, well, how do you make money in art? But I feel like it's just different generation. I get it. Like they weren't raised to think that like art is like this very lucrative career. But you know, us growing up on social media and things like that, it's like you can kind of see how people can make money. So they they are on board now.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So what's next for you, and who are some people or some brands that you would like to work with?
So what is next for me? I'm working on an ongoing series. It is due out in spring of 2023. So be on the lookout for that. It'll be on all my social media channels, all that. Brands I want to work with. Honestly, I just want to work with more Black owned brands. I would love to shoot for Pierre Moss. I would love to photograph Beyonce. I would love to photograph more queer representation, drag queens, Black drag queens. Yeah, I just honestly just want to impact the editorial and the fine art world of photography as much as I can, telling and amplifying Black and queer stories. So anything that aligns itself with that, I'm all for.
Okay. And last question, what about wedding photography? You think you're going to do that? Or would you be interested in doing
If I really like, if I'm really vibing with the couple, like if it's like my best friend or something, like I would love to. But I don't feel like, I don't know, I don't see it in my cards right now, but who knows? I'm not knocking anything.
Okay. But what and last two questions. So what's your favorite? Do you prefer to shoot inside or outside, and why?
I think I like inside just because it's a controlled environment. I think the thing that I love about photography is the fact that I don't know, something about photography makes me feel powerful. Like I am actually telling my story, like I'm actually in control. So being able to control the environment, what the backdrop looks like, the temperature in the room, those type of things really do make it an easier shoot for me, opposed to shooting outside. The sun is very wishy-washy. It does what it wants to do, the temperature. But I'll also say when you shoot something outside, because I love to shoot strobes and with lights and things like that, if you can like master an outside area, it always is like very like it really is just like chef's kiss. Like it really is amazing. So I would say studio inside, but I don't knock outside either.
Okay, okay. Well, can you tell the world where they can find and connect with you at? And do you are you doing any classes or anything like that? Any virtual seminars or that people
I
can
have not
take?
thought about that, but you might be on to something.
Okay.
You might look into that. On my website, Instagram, Twitter, all that is at Eric Hart Jr. Yeah, you can find me literally anywhere, Eric Hart Jr.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I'm sure you shared a wealth of knowledge. I know you're changing the world. I can't wait to have you back and knocking more of these vision boards, making them turn into reality. I see nothing but greatness. And again, thank you again for your time. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. Seriously.